Kyle Busch, a two-time Cup Series champion, is sitting on a 100-race winless streak. His previous worst drought was 36 races between 2016 and 2017. This is nearly 3 times longer. This is not a slump. This is the longest winless stretch of his entire 21-season career. The number itself is the story, and it has changed how his performance is evaluated across the garage. The central question now is unavoidable. Is this the beginning of the end, or is there still one more chapter left? The stakes are immediate and measurable because 2026 is a contract year. And Kyle Busch turns 41 in May. Kyle Busch left Joe Gibbs Racing after the 2022 season, ending a 15-year partnership that produced 2 championships and dozens of victories. The move to Richard Childress Racing, where he took over the number 8 Chevrolet, it was seen as a reset with competitive upside. Early results supported that belief. He won at Auto Club Speedway early in 2023, then added more success quickly, reaching 3 wins by early June 2023. At that stage, he was firmly back in the championship conversation, and the transition appeared effective. The performance level suggested that the combination of Busch's experience and RCR's equipment could deliver immediate results, and then, nothing. From mid-2023 forward, the numbers changed direction completely. There were 0 wins from mid-2023 through the rest of that season. That decline extended into the following year, with 0 wins in all of 2024, ending his 19-year consecutive season win streak. That streak had been one of the most consistent benchmarks in NASCAR history. And the downturn continued as he missed the playoffs in 2024 for the first time since 2012, marking a significant competitive drop. The pattern repeated again with 0 wins in all of 2025, missed the playoffs again. Through the opening stretch of the current season, the trend has not reversed. 7 races into 2026, still 0 wins. The standings reflect the same reality. Busch is currently 24th in points in 2026. His best finish in 2026 is 12th place, and critically, there are 0 top 8 finishes through 7 races in 2026, a statistical first across all 21 of his previous seasons, including his roughest years. The consistency that defined his career is absent in the results. The drought has now reached 100 races, officially the longest winless stretch of his entire career. For comparison, in his previous worst, 36 races, this current streak is 64 races longer. That gap illustrates how far the current performance level is from his historical baseline. Kyle Busch is in a contract year at Richard Childress Racing in 2026. He turns 41 years old in May 2026, and while age is often discussed, it is not the determining factor on its own. Drivers have competed effectively into their 40s, and recent history shows that experience can still produce results. The more immediate issue is performance relative to the field. The question is no longer just, can he win again? It is, will he still be in the Cup Series in 2027? RCR, as an organization, has not consistently matched the output of top-tier teams over an extended period, and that context affects expectations. At the same time, its silly season in 2026 is shaping up to be significantly more chaotic than 2025, when only 2 full-time rides changed hands. The decisions made over the next several months will determine the direction of his career. The next race presents a specific opportunity to change that narrative. The schedule moves to the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway, a track where Busch has a strong record. He has 8 wins on the Bristol concrete, making it one of the most statistically favorable tracks in his career. Bristol is one of the few remaining venues where a case for immediate contention can be supported by historical performance. If there is anywhere on the 2026 schedule where the 100-race drought could end, Bristol is the most credible candidate. The pressure surrounding that race is tied directly to timing. A strong result could reset the conversation, while another missed opportunity would intensify scrutiny during a contract year. The first and most straightforward possibility is that Busch remains with RCR beyond 2026. The current partnership has shown isolated competitiveness, particularly early in its formation. There have been small bright spots during the drought, indicating that the performance ceiling is not entirely out of reach. If Busch and the team can identify and correct the factors contributing to inconsistency, a continuation is possible. However, based on the current trajectory, this outcome appears uncertain. Without a measurable turnaround in results during the second half of 2026, the argument for extending the partnership weakens with each race completed. A more structurally aligned option is Spire Motorsports. This organization already has multiple connections to Busch. Carson Hocevar is locked into the number 77 Chevrolet long-term. That seat is not available, which limits one pathway. However, Michael McDowell is also 41. His future beyond 2026 is not confirmed, leaving potential flexibility. Additionally, Daniel Suarez joined Spire from Trackhouse Racing to replace Justin Haley and is in a prove-it situation after a career with only 2 wins across stints at Joe Gibbs Racing and Stewart Haas Racing. The key link is already established. Kyle Busch sold Kyle Busch Motorsports to Spire after 2023. He has continued to compete in the Truck Series with the team, maintaining familiarity and operational alignment. There is also a longer-term consideration as his son Brexton Busch progresses through racing development. Spire offers a structure that could support both current competition and future planning within the same organization. Another possibility, less likely but still grounded in existing connections, is Hendrick Motorsports. This is where Busch began his Cup Series career over 2 decades ago. Any scenario involving Hendrick would depend on roster changes, particularly concerning the number 48 Chevrolet currently driven by Alex Bowman. Bowman has experienced performance fluctuations and missed races due to health-related issues in recent seasons. If Hendrick evaluates alternative options, the decision could involve choosing between a veteran with proven results and a developing driver. The connection is not purely theoretical, as HendrickCars.com has already been sponsoring Kyle Busch in the Truck Series with Spire. And while this option remains unlikely, the presence of sponsorship alignment and shared history prevents it from being dismissed entirely. A fourth destination involves Legacy Motor Club, an organization backed by Toyota and led by Jimmy Johnson and Richard Petty. A return to Toyota equipment would represent a full-circle moment following Busch's years at Joe Gibbs Racing. While 23XY Racing, co-owned by Denny Hamlin, might seem like a natural landing spot, its lineup is effectively set, with Riley Herbst in the number 35 for 2026 and Corey Heim expected to take that seat in 2027. Legacy Motor Club, however, has indicated plans to expand to 3 cars in 2027, which creates a potential opening. The combination of Busch with Johnson and Petty within a single organization would be one of the most high-profile alignments in the sport. But the fifth option is the most difficult to evaluate because it involves a step away from the Cup Series level. This would not mean retiring from racing entirely. Busch has stated his interest in pursuing additional success in the Truck Series, including a championship. If he shifts focus in that direction, he would immediately become a primary contender, particularly given his ongoing involvement with Spire Motorsports. However, this scenario depends on the availability of competitive Cup rides. If no suitable opportunity emerges, a strategic shift becomes a practical decision rather than a preference. This situation extends beyond a single statistic. It reflects the trajectory of one of the most accomplished drivers in NASCAR history. Busch has 63 career Cup Series wins, and the current question is whether that total will increase. Said the performance gap at RCR is evident in the results, but the schedule still presents opportunities. Bristol Motor Speedway is the next test, and its history provides a measurable benchmark. Kyle Busch, with 8 Bristol wins entering a contract year, is not a situation that can be fully defined by recent results alone. The next 20 to 30 races will determine whether this period represents the closing phase of his Cup career or the setup for another competitive resurgence. The current reality is clear: 100-race winless streak, 24th in points contract year, and multiple possible destinations. The decisions made during this season will define what comes next. Does Kyle Busch remain with RCR, move to a new organization, or shift his focus away from the Cup Series? Which of these 5 destinations presents the most viable path forward? And with Bristol approaching, does the drought end there, or continue beyond one of his strongest tracks? Drop your prediction in the comments, follow for upcoming race analysis, and stay tuned as the 2026 season continues to shape one of the most significant career turning points in NASCAR.